try to go micless. Can y'all hear me?
Yes.
Good. All right. So Jordan always says like, "Hey, you're being too loud." She like elbows me at places. So this is the time when that's gonna be.
Yes.
So the day that our preaching huddle met, that we all picked out our verses from the Sermon on the Mount, I was away on a business trip, and so my beautiful, lovely wife picked my scriptures for me. And I remember a couple weeks ago, she picked the section on judgment, and tonight I will be talking on anger. So I'm not sure exactly what she's trying to tell me, but we're not going to look too deep into that. But I'm like super excited to be talking about anger actually, because we've been married for 4 years, and for about the first 4 years, I've been trying to figure out how to be a good husband, how to have anger appropriately in my marriage, and I've been failing. So when we were first married, I had this idea that I had to be this great husband. I had to be this godly man. And for me, for some reason in my brain, that got interpreted as, okay, anytime there's a problem, I gotta plaster on a smile and just fix it, right? And so I would feel anger, but I wouldn't express it. And then I would have this anger just sit inside me. And the problem was that even though I was putting on this happy face, the anger stayed. And then what inevitably happened is it would sit there, gain pressure, and then explode at the dumbest times possible. So one time we got into a fight at the grocery store in front of the frozen food section, arguing about what to eat for dinner. We have gotten in a couple fights right outside of this church, and then come in here and smile at y'all. And one time we got into a fight while riding bikes in the rain. And if you've ever tried to have an argument while riding bikes in the rain, it is very, very difficult. But the problem was, I did not understand how to both be loving and be angry. I had no idea how to do it. And I think a lot of us have that issue. So tonight we're going to look at Matthew 5, 21 through 26. And we are going to look at what Jesus says about anger, but more importantly, what he says about reconciliation. So read with me. You have heard that it was said to people long ago, "You shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. Again, anyone who says to a brother or sister, 'You're worthless,' is answerable to the court. And anyone who says, 'You fool,' will be in danger of the fire of hell. Therefore, if you are offering your gift at the altar, and there you remember that your brother or sister has something against you, leave the gift in front of the altar. First go and be reconciled with them. Then come and offer your gift." Let's pray. God, you know our hearts. You already know the anger and all the emotions we feel. And you've already loved us. You've already forgiven us. You've already understood us. Tonight, I just pray that you come into this room and you just open us up to hearing what you have for us, and let us walk into the kingdom with you through your words.
Yeah.
So I've never murdered anyone. But I've gotten pretty angry. Like, I've punched my steering wheel in traffic before, right? I have slammed doors while in arguments. I have called my name's friends behind their backs because I was so frustrated. So is Jesus really telling me that my door slamming and that my frustrated name calling is the same as murder? And the answer is yes. Right? He's saying, yeah, it is the same as murder. You have to remember who he's talking to here. He's talking to a bunch of Jewish people who are doing their darndest to live up to the law, because that was their whole identity, right? That was everything to them. So they would have been like feeling pretty good about themselves that day. They would have walked up on this, the mount, and then he would have been like, okay, then in their minds they've been like, okay, I haven't murdered anyone, doing pretty awesome. And then he would have been like, oh, but have you been angry? And they're like, yeah. And then he says, well, that's the same as murder. And you can imagine that's going to hurt a little bit, right? That's pretty crazy. But if you think about it, Jesus is telling us that our anger is the start of murder, right? We use flames to cook our food, to give us light, to give us warmth, right? In the same way, anger can be useful. Anger can be the thing that motivates you towards justice, right? You feel angry about a situation, and that's why you go act. It can be the thing that makes you stick up for yourself, right? It can be useful, just like a flame. But left unattended and given fuel, this flame will get out of control.
Yeah.
It'll burn me.
Right.
It'll burn down this building. It'll kill. Right? In the same way, if we let our anger just sit inside of us, if we give it fuel, it will burn everything down. Right? So when Jesus says that our anger is like murder, he's saying when you hold on to that anger between a relationship with your brother or sister, you no longer see that person. All you can see is the anger. You essentially murder the relationship because he's given you a choice. Are you going to have your anger or are you going to have the relationship? And when you choose your anger over the person, you've essentially murdered that relationship. So the answer is, let's just never get angry, right? We're Christians, and that's good. And I can tell you it's not going to happen, right? 4 years of marriage, not going to happen. Anger is a universal emotion. You're going to feel it. If you're in close relationship with people, you're going to feel it. But Jesus is not simply telling us to avoid anger. He doesn't say that here. He is telling us how to address our anger.
Right.
To say it another way, Jesus is not teaching us anger management 101.
Right.
He's teaching us godly relationships 101.
Yes.
So in the first part of this section, Jesus is talking about the dangers of our anger. Right? He's saying your anger is like murder. But in the second part, he flips it. And he starts saying, what do you do if someone is angry at you? So if we zoom out these two verses, we realize that Jesus isn't telling us to stop feeling angry. He is telling us to start reconciling our anger. Yeah. He says, yeah, I know you're angry, but I want you to go to your brothers and sisters. That's Jesus' call for us, to go to our brothers and sisters and reconcile. So instead of pretending to be nice people, right, and carrying around all this hurt, carrying around all this anger, Jesus is telling us that confrontation, honestly sharing your anger to your brother or sister, that's love. And reconciliation, right, the resolving of that anger together, that's the kingdom come.
Right.
So how do we transform our anger, right? It's easy to say, go to your brother or sister, but what do we do then, right? Like, okay, that's going to be awkward. In verse 23, Jesus says, literally walk away from the altar if you have a broken relationship, right? Leave your offering. He doesn't want it if there's a relationship out there that needs fixing. I think the modern version of this is if you are at church worshiping and you know that a friend is angry at you, stop singing, put your hands down, and walk out the door.
Yeah.
Right? He's saying, if you want to praise me, go and apologize. If you want to praise me, go and share your anger.
Yeah.
If you want to praise me, go and be reconciled with your brother or sister. So, much easier said than done. We can all agree with that. But as I was doing my study here, I found 3 things that I think the Bible is telling us to do when we have these hard conversations. And we are being called to have these hard conversations. Number 1 is don't wait. Go to your brother or sister as soon as possible. Ephesians 4:26 kind of backs this up. It says, be angry and do not sin. Catch that again. Be angry, go ahead, be angry, and do not sin. Do not let the sun go down on your anger, and give no opportunity to the devil. It's saying if you let that anger sit, if you let that hurt sit in the other person, you're inviting the devil, you're inviting that to grow and burn down that relationship. Number 2 is listen first. So James 1:19 says, let every person be quick to hear, slow to speak, and slow to anger. So if you're all hot and bothered, right, and you go in there and you have your agenda and you want to talk about it with your brother or sister, that's going to go badly.
Yeah.
But if you go in there and listen first, if you are slow to speak, that is how we get to reconciliation. You have to listen to the hurt of your brothers and sisters. And number 3 is to practice reconciliation as worship. Yeah. He says, they're coming to the altar to offer everything they have, right, to him. He's saying, I don't want it. Go to your brother and sister. That is my priority. That's my highest form of praise. So when you go out and you're reconciling these hard relationships, you're worshiping God.
Yeah.
So guys, confrontation is love. Even though we don't like it, confrontation is love. And reconciliation is the kingdom come. Yeah. So Jesus is inviting us to let go of anger. He's inviting us to open the door to reconciliation. Before the band comes back up in a second, to lead us in worship, I think we got to take this kind of seriously. Because he's telling us this is what a kingdom relationship looks like. So if you'll do this for me, take out your phones. And if you don't have a phone, just think of the people that you have interacted with this week, and that you're going to interact with again. And now that you've got your phones out, open up your address book, and scroll through the names as we pray in a second. Don't close your eyes. Scroll through the names in your phone. Because if there is someone in your phone who is hurt, or your relationship is broken, or you're holding anger against them, Jesus is telling us that the time for reconciliation is now. Yeah. Don't sing the song. Don't raise your hand. The time is now. So you need to pray about how to make that plan for reconciliation. If you need to send the text, send the text. Stop talking to me, or stop listening to me right now, and send the text. If you need to walk out and make a phone call, the time is now. Right? Jesus says, walk away from the altar and go to your brother and sister. The next time we have conflict, and we feel anger in our relationships, Jesus is telling us not to wait. He's telling us to listen to our brothers and sisters. He's telling us that when we reconcile with them, when we make that anger back into loving relationship, that we are worshiping him. That is what he wants for us. That's how we live a godly relationship. Let's pray.